Hello, my name is Ben Wilson. I'm one of the librarians for the Woodbury School of Business. What I would like to do today with you guys is share with you some of the resources that are available to you from the library that you can use for your business research in your various classes that you'll be going through in your college career here at UVU. Just to introduce myself a little bit further, you will see my contact information here, my email address, and there's a link there for appointments, which if you go to the library's homepage, and you go to the About section in the navigation bar, you will find an area there about the librarians, and you will find my contact information there, and you can find that link and set up an appointment to meet with me. Right now, I'm just doing virtual appointments, but anytime, I don't actually have office hours, but anytime that I'm not in a meeting or doing something else, you guys are welcome to set up a time to meet with me, and I can help you. If you're like most people, you may not know what a librarian does. In fact, before I got my master's degree and started working in a library, I had no idea what a librarian does. So what we do is, first off, we buy books, we buy databases, and then we help you guys understand how to use those and know what is available and then how to search in those. What I'm doing today is actually one of the things that I do as part of my job. I like to say my job is student-centric, meaning that everything I do revolves around students. And my end goal is to help you guys succeed and have what you need to get where you need to go in this university experience that you're experiencing. So please feel free to send me an email or set up an appointment and meet with me. For today, I do have an agenda, and we're going to cover some basic information about the library. We're also going to discuss databases and what those are and how to use them. We'll look at searching in those databases. We'll talk about how to evaluate what you have found, how to cite what you have found, a few additional library resources that you might find useful, and then I'll do a demo search on a couple of databases just so you get a feel for how they work and how to use them. So first off, let's talk about the library overview. Since you are affiliated with UVU, you'll have a library card, which is your student ID card, and you can use that to check things out physically in the library. Some other things that are physically in the library that you can use are our study rooms. I know the Keller building has some great study rooms that you can use, but if you ever make your way over to the north side of campus and you're close to the library, need a place to study, that's a good option. They are reservable just like the ones in the Keller building. We have quiet study floors on floors 3 through 5. 1 and 2 are a little bit more noisy. We have a nice, beautiful exhibit of stained glass just right outside the library. You can see it in the picture here. It's called Roots of Knowledge, and if you haven't come and seen it, maybe you should. It's really amazing what they have done with it. We have docents that give tours quite regularly, so you can go to the website for Roots of Knowledge, just do a quick Google search, and you can set up a time to come on over. I mean, I forgot to mention, you can actually just pop into, and we have docents that are just waiting to give people tours. Something else that might be useful is if you ever need some equipment to do filming, maybe you have an interview or something else, or maybe you have a hobby and you like to shoot, take pictures. You can come in and check out our equipment for free. We have lots of different types of equipment. We have cameras like GoPros and DSLR cameras, some really top-end ones. We have tripods, lighting equipment. We have electronic keyboards for making music. What's the other thing? There's one other thing. Oh, yes. The audio recorders. We have audio recorders that are radio station quality recorders that you can come in and check out. And again, all of it's for free. You can check it out with your student ID card. Being a library, we do still purchase books, but I also like to buy ebooks now. And those ebooks are amazing because they are, first off, accessible anywhere, but then they can also be searched, which you can't do with a print book. We also, on the second floor, have sheet music. So if you played an instrument and you wanted to find something to play some music, find some music to play, you could come in and get some sheet music. So let's talk about databases real quick. What is a database? A database is information that has been stored and is accessible electronically. And for you guys, most of it's going to be articles, newspaper articles, magazine articles, scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles, and sometimes you might need some different kinds of information like industry information or company information. So let's talk about those. With article databases, you can access those anywhere as long as you have access to the internet and can get to the library's homepage. All you have to do is log in when you click in on one of the resources, and that's your student login credentials. In the databases, you're going to find scholarly articles, which are peer-reviewed or academic. Those are all synonyms. You'll find magazines, trade publications, newspapers. Now to search these, you want to use keywords or search terms. Phrase searching works. We'll talk more about all of this. Boolean operators work, and so do wildcards. And once you get to your list of search results, you can actually search it by content or filter it by content, by date, and by subject. If you want to go and see all of our databases on the library homepage, click on the databases button and you will see every single one of our databases. The ones that say OneSearch next to them are included in the library's homepage search. The ones that don't have it are additional information, additional databases that aren't included in the OneSearch. So you can try the OneSearch. If it's not working, jump in and do one of the other databases that are not included in the OneSearch, and it's all brand new content. For doing business research, OneSearch can work. It's just so much information that sometimes there's a lot of irrelevant things and things that are close but not quite what you need, and so you've got a lot of filtering out to do. Sometimes it's better to just jump into a business database. My recommended databases, which you can see on the top right here, are ABI Informed Collection. That is the business database in my opinion. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. That's usually a good place to start. Business Source Premier is included in OneSearch, but you might want to use some of the advanced search features, or maybe you just want to not see all the extra things that OneSearch is giving you and just focus in on just strictly the business stuff coming out of Business Source Premier. A couple other ones, Business Insights by Gale, and then it's generically called Business by Gale. Those are also pretty good. Not to be discounted, there are some multidisciplinary databases, which means they cover lots of different subjects. The OneSearch we talked about. Science Direct Journals covers business pretty well. Sage Journals does good. Project Muse does good. And then Global Newsstream is a newspaper database, and you can find the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and lots of other different newspapers inside there, and I highly recommend those. Now to get into any of those databases that I've just mentioned, just go to the library homepage and click on Databases. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk now about an industry database. IBISWorld is a fantastic industry database that will give you information about a certain industry. It tends to be a little bit more broad than sometimes what student assignments are. So sometimes you've got to broaden out what you're looking at or looking for to be in the right industry. Sometimes it's helpful to look up the NAICS codes, the NAICS code, so that you know where you're going to be. But inside IBISWorld, you can do subject or search terms searching, keyword searching. Okay, so I've mentioned that IBISWorld is an industry database. It creates US and global reports. They're updated 1 to 4 times annually. You can download those reports. They have charts and graphs that you can actually pull out real easy and use in your papers. The only downside, or one of the downsides, no, it's really the only downside, is that it does not generate citations of those reports for you. So you have to create the citations yourself when you're using them in a paper. What do the reports cover? They'll give you an overview of the industry. They'll tell you the revenues of the companies. They'll give you a really kind of basic SWOT analysis, which is pretty helpful. They'll tell you who the major players are. They'll give you product and services segmentation. They'll give you an industry outlook, forecasting, like the future of it. You'll find a section that you can see the market share. And there's lots of industry data that you can browse through. And if it's a new industry to you, you're not familiar with, and there's a lot of jargon, there is a glossary to help you understand the terminology. Shifting gears again, let's talk about company databases. We've got two. One of them does public companies, the other one does private companies. Mergent Online is for company research. It doesn't do private company research very well, but there is a checkbox for private companies, and it does its best to give you some private company information. So it might not hurt to try it. You can search by company name or by the ticker. You can build custom reports between multiple companies, which is kind of cool. So if you're comparing three similar companies and you want to see, well, what were all their balance sheet statements? Or just whatever it is you want to know, you can just pull that little section out of the financials or maybe the executives, I don't know, whatever it is you're looking for. You can just pull those little snippets out of each report, and it will automatically generate a new report that includes all the information that you were asking for from each of those companies. Things that you can find are company financials and reports, who the executives are and their competitors, what their debt is, who owns the company, what property do they own, a little bit history about them, the latest news, and then some trades information. With Privco, and I gotta be honest, guys, it's kind of hit or miss. If it's a super small company, you may not find much information on it, but bigger, you may find some information on it. And I've been told by the representative they're willing to make custom reports for us. So if there's a company that you're interested in seeing in here, you can ask them to include that. There is very little public company information in here. It's basic company information when you do find something on a company. There's little financials. There is some funding and valuation information and subsidiaries. You can search in it by keyword, and you can filter it by location, employee growth rates, VC and PE-backed firms. All right. We do have other databases that you can access. Well, when I say we do, I mean in the area. As a student or faculty or staff of UVU, you are able to go to BYU, the University of Utah, SLIC, Westminster College, Snow College, even Dixie College down in St. George. All these other institutions we have an agreement with, and we are able to go down and check out materials at their libraries as well as use their databases. My recommendation is before you go down to one of those libraries, call them first and see what you will need to be able to access their information, their databases and their books. I know that I've heard that BYU requires your student ID card, maybe a driver's license, and a piece of mail with your address on it. But that's why I say call first, so that you know what their current requirements are. BYU has all of these databases here that I'm listing, and they're very useful. We've got BizMiner, Euromonitor. IBISWorld is listed there because they have additional countries included that we don't have. We've got quite a few countries included in our IBISWorld subscription, but they've got the full package. You can read just as well as I can the other ones that are there, but Statista is a good one because sometimes they offer reports for free online. And sometimes it's just the bare bones, but it may have enough information that you can access, that it's useful. All right, let's talk about searching real quick. There's some basic formulas that you can use to create good, effective searches that will save you time and give you what you want exactly. The basic structure is you enter one word and then the word and then another word. You can see my example here is nurse and training. And I'm using that because it was some of the search terms from an international business class search that they needed to do. It's not because I'm working for the nursing guys across over at the National Guard building. So we've got nursing, or nurse and training. Any articles that have both search terms in it will come up. You can see in the little diagram there, right in the middle is where those two circles, so each circle represents one keyword or search term. Where those two overlap is where my articles are going to be in my search results. All right, so articles that have nursing and training will be showing up. Something I use quite often, and I find it so useful. In fact, last week I was helping a student, might have even been this week, and the student had the search he was running and it wasn't giving him any good results, and he's asking for help. And I just took one part of his search, put it in quotation marks, and it changed everything and gave him excellent search results. And he was good. The way it works is, if there's a phrase that should stay together, then put it in the quotation marks. And this also works in Google, guys. It's a very useful tool for narrowing down your search. In my example, we're doing paddle tennis courts. So that was another suggested topic from a faculty member that students were researching. So if I put that in quotation marks, it's looking for that exactly as it's in the quotation marks. It will not switch the order. Okay, the next one is, and this trick is very useful for synonyms and related terms. It will broaden your search, and it's using or. So in my example, you can see it there in the blue box, financial or economic or monetary. It's looking for one of those related terms. And I just put or between them, and it's saying, hey, find this one or this one or this one. You can look at the diagram there in blue where it says economic, financial, monetary. You can see that it's all the same color, meaning it's all going to be returned in my search results. Now there's this other thing that you have to do called nesting, because if you search for all that or part by itself, that's just too broad. If I search for economic, financial, and monetary, that's going to be huge. I'm going to have way too many results. So you have to narrow this down. In my example, you'll see that I'm putting it in quotation marks. So you take that financial or economic or monetary section, put it in the parentheses, and that will put the focus on that. It's called nesting. And it will do that part first, and then it will see, so once it finds one of those three words in an article, it's going to see if that article has the word Spain or if it has the word invest. And you guys, that is one of the trickiest things to do for most people. It just takes some practice. In fact, research, you guys, takes lots of practice. Last semester I had a student who kept seeing a certain word pop up in his search results, and he's like, is there a way to exclude that? Because I really don't want it. And so I taught him about the word not. The way it works is you put the word not, and whatever follows the word not is excluded from the search. So if I'm researching marketing and I put not Taiwan, it's finding all the articles that have just the word marketing and do not contain the word Taiwan in them. The truncation is something I use quite often because, similarly to using or, it allows you to search for synonyms or related terms. The way it works is you take the root of a word, you put the truncation on the end. For most of the databases, it's the asterisk. So you would do, in the example, we've got child with the asterisk, and that would bring up child, children, childhood. It just fills in the ending. And that's very useful because then you don't have to do a search for each and every single one of those different variations of the word, as long as you're okay with those variations. Wildcards I don't really use very often, but they just replace one character in the word. In the example, you'll see woman, W-O-M, question mark N, that brings up women or women. Now, everything I've showed you here, guys, is dependent on the database you're using. For a lot of them, they use this structure that I was sharing with you, but some of them don't do certain things and do different things, or they use different symbols to make these things work. So my recommendation is go to the help section of the database, and they'll tell you what you can do and what symbols to use to do that. Here's a sample search that you could do based on what we've talked about so far. In the parentheses, I've got the different, all the different things that we call ourselves here in the United States. We've got United States or USA or US or America. It'll do that part first, then it's going to look for tennis courts as a phrase, and then it's going to look for manufacturer with the asterisk, so that's manufacturer, manufacturing, manufactured, all the different tenses, present, past, all of that. Okay, quickly about evaluation. Make sure that what you're finding is on topic. That's the first thing you want to look at. Then you want to look at their purpose. Why are they writing it? Is it to persuade you, to entertain you? Basically, if there's bias, you gotta figure that out and decide whether you should use it or not. But just because there is bias doesn't mean you shouldn't use it, as long as what they're saying is valid, and you can also find the opposite stance if you need to. You also want to check for accuracy. Basically, is what they're saying correct? For me, I like to use something called triangulation, where you find one author saying something in his article or her article, then you find two more that say the same thing. That can make a triangle, all 3 points. And if 3 are saying the same thing, there's a good chance that it's true. Other things that you can look for credibility is who the publisher is, who the author is, what are their credentials, where do they work, do they have an advanced degree, have they published a lot on the topic. And then something else to look at if you're searching the web is website domains. .govs and .edus tend to be the most credible. .coms and .orgs both need to be evaluated. There is a common misconception of students where they think .org sites or all .org sites are okay because they're organizations. But there's a lot of racist .org sites out there and other .org sites with agendas out on the web. So please be aware you do need to evaluate .org sites, just like you do a .com. Many of our library databases will give you citations. They will, as soon as you click on an article and you're looking at the basic information about the article, you'll often see a button where it will create the citation. It'll say cite, and you click it, it pumps out a generated citation for you. These are computer generated and sometimes make mistakes. On this slide here, you'll see the highlighted section, survival causal patterns of social and blah, blah, blah. That is the area that you want to check for errors. Oftentimes they will format it for MLA style, where they will capitalize the first letter of each word, and that is not correct for APA. What we're seeing here is correct. Some databases will not cite for you, like IBISWorld, the industry database, and Science Direct Journals, and there's quite a few others. If you find that to be the case, then you can generate your own citation using a citation generator from the web. And here are a few that I recommend, but there's tons. Use the one that you're most comfortable with. Just to save you some time and mental effort, I've put together a few examples of how to cite certain types of reports, including the industry one, IBISWorld. So you might find those useful. I'm not going to go over them in the, just so that we have enough time to get through everything. Now, sometimes you might be doing lots of research and have tons and tons of articles that you're downloading and needing to manage. If that's the case, you can use a citation manager. And what that will do is it will, and it varies depending on the manager, but some of them will actually download the article and the citation for you and save all the information about it. And then they will oftentimes make it very easy for you to create the bibliography, the list of your references at the end of the paper, which is all the citations for the articles that you used in your paper. You're citing them and saying, hey, this person said blah, blah, blah. So at the end of your paper, you've got to have that list of references. And this makes it so easy to manage all of those articles that you're finding. I personally don't do a lot of research myself, so I don't use them, but I know how to use them, and I'm very happy to show you how to use it. With Zotero, that's the one I've used the most, and basically you just download a plugin for your browser, which puts a little button at the top, and when you get to a web page where you have something you want to download and save and grab a citation of, you just click the little button for Zotero, and it saves that article and the citation. And then when you're ready to create your bibliography or your references page, all you have to do is hit a button and you tell it, hey, create it in APA format, and it does all of the work for you, just real easy and simple. All right, there's a few additional things that I recommend. Interlibrary loan is very useful when you are not finding a lot of information on your topic, but you found one article, but you just can't get the actual article, right? You can't get the article to read it. It just tells you about the article, maybe an abstract, but that's all you're getting. Interlibrary loan can most likely get you that information or that article from another library. This here on the left, this image on the left is a screenshot of the library's homepage, and you will see in the middle bottom there where it says Interlibrary Loan. It is free, takes I don't know if I dare say how long it takes, but because it's right now we're in COVID, so it takes a little bit longer. It's about, I think it's 12 days for a book and maybe 5 for an article, but traditionally it's 3 and 10. 3 articles, 3 days for an article and 10 for a book usually. Something else that you might find useful are the research guides. I have made subject research guides, some for international business, some for specific courses. And so as you go through your classes, you will find the research guides right here on the library homepage in the bottom right. It's going to have a list of databases I would recommend for that subject, books, websites, and then I'm going to have a section oftentimes on how to do a search with suggested searches and like examples of how to do the searches. Something else that you could find useful is our tutorials that explain how to do the kinds of things I'm sharing with you today. If you can't get a hold of me for some reason and you need help, on the library's homepage, you'll see in the right side there under Ask a Librarian, lots of different ways that you can ask for help. The chat is our most popular, where you can chat with a librarian live. Something else that's useful is our journals by title. It's currently not on our homepage, but I'm working on having that added. If you go into the navigation bar on the library's homepage and click Find, you will find our journals by title. It is very useful for finding newspapers and journals. Oh man, it's been a couple of years now, but I had a student that I'd met and he was telling me how he has a subscription to the Wall Street Journal and like 3 other magazines and journals, and he was paying out of his pocket for these subscriptions. And I said, hey, you're a student here. We have subscriptions to those that you can access for free as a student. And so he canceled all the subscriptions and was able to start just going into the journals by title and finding the current versions, like today's version of the Wall Street Journal, for example. So the next step I want to do is I want to do a demo search. I want to show you guys how to search in a library database. And I want to show you also how to use the journals by title. So that's what I'm going to start with. I'm at the library's homepage and I'm going to go to the Find and show you our journals by title. We're going to look for the Wall Street Journal. So I'm going to type that in. Okay, here we go. Right there, that's the one I want, the Eastern edition. And then what it gives us is and it's only showing us one, but sometimes it'll show you multiple versions of something. You want to find the one that is actually the one you're looking for, but also has the date coverage that you want. These are databases that have the Wall Street Journal. You'll notice the global news stream, which I had showed you guys earlier, and the ABI and Forum, they both have it. Let's just pick one of these and go with it. Here we go. What's today? Today is the 20th of January 2022. This is the current version of the Wall Street Journal. So this is today's. Click on an article and start reading. That's pretty cool, right? All right. The other thing I want to do is just show you guys how to get into our other databases. So let me go back to the library homepage here. And all you have to do is click on our databases button. And then you can select A for ABI. Our ABI business database is actually the top one. But if I wanted to get into IBIS World, I just click I here. There's IBIS World. If I wanted Mergent, which is one of our company databases, click M and scroll down until you see Mergent Online, which is right here. Let's look at our IBIS World just real quick. You might find this interesting. Okay, so now we can just type in what we're looking for. We can type in the industry if you know it. If you don't, just type in something. So let's say we're interested in tennis, and maybe specifically gyms. This gives us a report. It's got some overviews that it's going to give. Each of these little sidebar, the navigation on the left, not navigation, the filters on the left are expandable. The SWOT analysis might be interesting to you, which is right here. There's your products and services segmentation. Let's go to industry performance. No, let's see, which one is it that I want? Yes, I like the competitive landscape. You can see market share concentration. And there is a major company section. Oh, and I also like the barriers to entry. That one's, I find that always interesting. Like, hey, if I want to get in the industry, what do I need financially? What's going to stop me from getting in? Major players. Here we see Fitness International LLC has, I guess, the dominant market share, which is only 5%, which is interesting. Anyway, so that's how IBIS World works, and you'll notice it's got all these charts and graphs and things that you can use. Okay, let's go back. We'll just close this one. And I'm going to go with our ABI now. Just want to show you some of the basics. Let's do something simple. Let's just do the United States. I'm going to, and I should have put that in quotes. Or USA or U dot S dot or America, and you're welcome to type in more in your searches. Okay, we'll close that. And now let's just do something simple and international business maybe. Sorry, I didn't prepare something here, so I'm just kind of winging it. International business, and let's talk about marketing strategies. Let's do market. No, we'll do that in quotes. And you guys, you got to be flexible. You got to just try different things. Like, do I do marketing strategy? Do I do market with the asterisk, the truncation, so it brings up market, marketing, marketed, and then do strategy as its own search term? Or do I do it as in the quotation marks? It's trial and error when doing research. Okay, this one's on immigration, and I really shouldn't be looking at search results yet. First off, let me show you guys, there's some filters on the left. The first one I always want to do is the date range. So I'm going to go, let's do maybe last 10 years, and we'll update that. Maybe we need to look at only peer-reviewed articles or scholarly journals, same thing. Let's go ahead and check that. We'll check the scholarly journals too, because sometimes that gets rid of these conference reports and proceedings, which I might not want. There is a location filter. So if you want to say just the United States, great, we can do that. Maybe we don't really know how else to narrow this down. Oh, we're at 228, which isn't a ton. But if you still had a few thousand, my next recommendation would be to use the subject filter here to narrow it down further. All right, and I apologize, my search is very broad at this point. And I don't want to spend a lot of more time doing this. So let me just choose one here. That sounds interesting. Okay, I think that one sounds interesting. If you come down here to where it says show abstract, it's going to give you the summary of the article. And then if you like that, your article's here where it says full text or full text PDF. And then to get the citation, all you have to do is click on one of these, and you will see it in the top right here. You click on cite, and it's going to generate the citation here. And the section to always check is the title of the article, and they've done a pretty good job. So we're good on that one. Then you can just copy and paste that. Something else you can do to save the article if you like it, inside here you can grab the web address or the URLs, and it does work. If you're using OneSearch, don't do it. You want to look for what's called the permalink if you're using OneSearch. All right, my article's right here, guys. This is it. Or if I wanted to view the PDF, click on that on the left there. Okay, this is everything that I had planned on covering. If you have any questions, please reach out to me and ask. I'm available to help you guys anytime I'm not working on a project or in a meeting. I wish you all the best with all your research, and please reach out if you need any help.